What's up, guys? JT Postman here, and we are back another episode of our Let's Talk NHL series. And in this video, I want to talk about the trade between the New York Rangers and the Ottawa Senators. Now, this was a tough one. For those of you guys that have been following my channel for any length of time, you guys know that I'm a New York Rangers fan, and so this one's kind of tough. It's a dagger in the heart of a lot of Rangers fans. I don't know a single Rangers fan in real life or on any social media or any blog or anything that doesn't like Derek Brassard. He was, or he is, an amazing player, an amazing person in the locker room, on the ice. He was just an amazing player. And he was one of my favorite players on the team, definitely top three. So this one is really tough. I was shocked when I heard it, just because I've heard rumors about, obviously, Rick Nash, Mark Stahl, even Lundqvist, even Derek Stepan. I heard nothing about Derek Brassard, so this one kind of came out of nowhere, and I was pretty shocked and sad about it. And at first, I was just thinking, why are the Rangers doing this? Why would they trade a guy like Derek Brassard? Why, of all players to trade, why Derek Brassard? That's not really taking a step forward. Because my thought process was, going into this offseason, I was thinking the Rangers need to somehow get rid of Stahl, Girardi, Nash, guys like that, the older guys, maybe even Lundqvist. So, but then months have gone by, and those guys are still on the team. So I was thinking, okay, looks like management is refusing to trade for younger guys, or they just can't do it, so they're going to try to make another run next year. But then they traded Derek Brassard, so I was like, wait a minute, what are they doing? What does this mean? Are they still pushing for the playoffs? Are they going through a full-out rebuild now? What are they doing? And then I really thought about the trade. I saw a lot of opinions from Ottawa fans, and I looked at Zibanejad, his stats, everything about him, and I'm now really excited to see what Zibanejad can do for the New York Rangers. The full trade was Derek Brassard and a 2018 7th-round draft pick to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for forward Mika Zibanejad and a 2018 second-round draft pick. So right off the bat, I think the New York Rangers won this trade. No doubt the Senators got a great player in Derek Brassard. I'm telling you guys right now, Senators fans, you are going to love Derek Brassard, especially because now he's playing for his hometown team. So he's going to be very excited to play there, and I think he's going to do great. I think he's easily going to put up 55, 60 points on that team, with the great young forwards that they have. But the only thing I don't understand from a Senators perspective is that I saw that their GM is hoping that this trade can give them that extra push that they need to make the playoffs next year, and I don't think it does that at all. I think Brassard is a great player. He, right now, I think is slightly better than Mika Zibanejad, but that's not a big enough change to take a team that didn't do so well last year and push them into the playoffs. It doesn't do that. Brassard's a great, an above, he's pretty much the same thing as Kyle Turris. He can be a first-line center, but when you compare him to other first-line centers like Steven Stamkos, Sidney Crosby, Jonathan Toews, Ryan Getzlaf, guys like that, obviously doesn't compare. But he's an above-average second-line center. So it's not like they're just adding that either. They're just replacing Mika Zibanejad in the second line. And if you're just straight up replacing him, it's not like you're replacing Zibanejad with, Crosby. It's not a huge improvement. And Brassard also isn't nearly as good as Zibanejad is defensively. So I don't see it as too big of an improvement for the Senators. I also heard the argument from their GM was that Brassard is more proven. You can say that. He's had back-to-back 60-ish point years, and he's definitely proven in the playoffs. He's done great in the playoffs the last 4 straight years. But Zibanejad is 23 years old, and he's already scoring 20 goals, 50 points. I think Zibanejad's already proven what he can do, and he's only getting better. So, again, is it a huge improvement for Ottawa? I don't think so. And Brassard, you know what you're getting. He's already almost 29 years old. He's already hit his peak. And you maybe only have, 4 more years of being that prime player, 55-plus points. And also his contract, 3 years at $5 million. Another thing I saw from a Senators perspective, the reason they may want to make this trade is because they've gone through arbitration the last couple of years. They've had quite a few players go through arbitration. I believe they're going through, or might go through it right now with Mike Hoffman. And so they're kind of tired of that, and their GM is basically, or their owner is basically telling their GM, you know what, Brassard, he's got 3 years left at $5 million, which is a great deal for a guy like Derek Brassard. $5 million is perfect for what he does. And Zibanejad, he's only got 1 year left, and then he's an RFA, and then he can go to restricted free agency and possibly go into arbitration. So instead of having to go through the arbitration process again, trade for a guy like Derek Brassard, who right now is slightly better, is proven in the playoffs, and his contract is set in stone for the next 3 years, and you don't have to worry about it. So that's where and it's front loaded as well. I saw the deal was that the Rangers signed him to was 5 years at $5 million per year. The Rangers have already paid him $15 million of that salary. So the Senators it's still a $5 million cap hit, but the Senators only have to pay him $10 million over the next 3 years. So financially, it actually is pretty good for the Senators. For the Rangers right now, they get a guy who's almost 6 years younger. Zibanejad is 23 years old. Brassard is almost 29. So you get a guy who's almost 6 years younger. He's got almost half the cap hit. I believe it's like 2.625. Brassard is 5, so it's almost half. And I really like Zibanejad. What I've heard, he's got the size. He's 6'2", over 210. He can skate. He's got a great shot, pretty good hands, and he's great defensively and can kill penalties. From what I hear, I love Mika Zibanejad already, and I hear he still has the potential to be a 30-goal scorer, which is awesome. So, and I think it's great for the Rangers. And what I think this move signals more moves to come this offseason. Jeff Gorton has already said that it's been tough trading guys like Rick Nash, Mark Stahl, Dan Girardi. It's been hard to find a good deal for them. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, Rick Nash at almost $8 million. He's not worth $8 million when what he's done this past year and in other years, he's not worth $8 million. The kind of season he had in 2014-15 where he scored 42 goals, almost 70 points, you can argue he's almost worth it, $8 million, but it is a huge cap hit. So unless he's scoring you 40 goals, it's not worth it and it's too much. So no matter what, the Rangers are going to have to retain salary in a Rick Nash trade. I mean, the Maple Leafs had to retain salary for Phil Kessel. There's no way the Rangers aren't going to have to retain salary for Rick Nash. Mark Stahl, I think, is tradable, but it's going to be tough. Dan Girardi, to me, is untradeable. The only teams I think would have taken on Girardi were Arizona, but they went and got Datsuk's contract. Carolina, but they took on Brian Bickle. And Toronto, but they went and got Frederik Andersen, signed him to a deal, went and got Roman Polak back. They've already spent their money this offseason. They're not going to take on Dan Girardi now. Yeah, I just don't see any team out there that's going to take him. And if the Rangers buy him out, then they got to pay for him for the next 8 years. So I'm hoping for a bounce back year from Stahl and Girardi. I think Mark Stahl can have a bounce back year. He's still only 29 years old. I think Stahl can come back next year and play a solid top 4 role still. I think Vigneault just has to switch around the defensive system. When John Tortorella was the coach of the Rangers, when they were known as one of the best defensive teams in the league and had one of the best penalty kills, they played a zone defensive system. But when Vigneault came in, he set a man-on-man defensive system. So that means defensemen need to cover their man. They need to chase them around. They need to follow them. And guys like Stahl, Girardi, they're not fast enough to play that kind of system. They get beat one-on-one because they have lack of speed. So it didn't. The Rangers played horrible defensively in that system. There were so many times last year where they left guys wide open in front. So, but I really like this deal just because the Rangers get younger. It's been a long time, pretty much since the last Derek Brassard trade, when the Rangers got Derek Brassard. That was the last time, pretty much, that the Rangers traded for the younger player. I mean, it's been a while since the Rangers traded. I mean, last year the Rangers traded for Emerson Edom for Carl Hagelin. I was like, Emerson Edom, wow, a young guy. He's got some potential. We'll see what he does. It turned out he was not the greatest, and they traded him to Vancouver just a few months later. But, the Rangers, years ago, they traded Marian Gaborik and got Derek Brassard. That turned out to be a great move because they got a nice young center. Same thing here. They trade an almost 29-year-old center, and they get a 23-year-old center. And this is perfect for what I think the Rangers need to do. And they got a second-round pick, which is great. I think that's... I think straight up, Derek Brassard for Mika Zibanejad would have been a fine trade, and I still would have been happy with it. I may still have even said that the Rangers won the trade, but the second-round pick just makes it even better, because the Rangers desperately need draft picks, man. They need to draft. What was I saying? But now they're doing exactly what I wanted them to do. I wanted the Rangers to trade their veteran guys because I don't think they're a cup team next year. I don't think they're a cup team within the next few years, the way the roster is right now, because Brady Shea is a great defenseman, great young defenseman with a lot of potential. He's going to be playing on the team this year. He has the potential to be a top 4 defenseman. But other than him, they don't have a lot of great potential players. They have Pavel Buchnevich up front. They've got a couple other decent young forward prospects, but none that are outstanding. No, they don't have any Mitch Marners or anything like that coming up from the CHL or anything like that. So they desperately need to draft. And like I said, with lack of young talent coming up in the system and an already pretty old roster, I don't see them being a cup team within the next 3 years the way they are now. I think they could be if they make the right moves, and I think this is the right move because they traded 29-year-old who, to me, if they'd kept, the Rangers weren't going to be a cup team in the next 3 years. So what do? They trade him for a guy who's almost 6 years younger, who's got almost half the salary, and is better defensively, is slightly bigger than Brassard, and has the potential to be better than Brassard and put up more points than Brassard. So overall, and they get a second-round pick, it's a great trade for the Rangers. Senators fans, like I said, you guys are getting a great player in Derek Brassard. I love Brassard. He was a clutch performer. He gave it 110% every single night. So you guys are going to love him. Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough for this to push the Senators into the playoffs, especially when you look at all the teams in the Eastern Conference that got better since last year. I mean, you look at the teams like the Devils, the Panthers, the Sabres, teams like that. I think they're all going to be pushing for the playoffs this year. Well, the Panthers were in the playoffs, but they're definitely going to be back. Tampa's going to be back. Pittsburgh, obviously, Washington. Toronto's going to be making a push. There are going to be a lot of teams, and to me, the Senators just aren't one of... The Canadians are probably going back in. The Rangers, I think, could make it if they make another move. Even without making any more moves, I think the Rangers have a good enough roster to make it. So, if I were to pick 8 teams in the Eastern Conference to make the playoffs next year, Ottawa would not be one of them, especially, still after this trade. I don't see them being a playoff team next year. But one thing that was funny, actually, was that Derek Brassard actually found out about the trade because he got a text from Marty St. Louis telling him, good luck in Ottawa, you're going to be great there, they have a good up-and-coming team. And Brassard had no idea he'd been traded yet because the Rangers still hadn't contacted him. So he looked at that text and was like, oh, I guess I'm traded to Ottawa. And then they got in contact with him and told him the details and that he was going to Ottawa. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, he's going to play for his hometown, as I said. It sucks for Zibanejad a little bit. I mean, anybody that's coming to play in New York, Madison Square Garden's got to be excited, and he is. But I heard he had just built a house. He had just had a house built in Ottawa, so that kind of sucks. He said it was inconvenient, which it definitely is. I mean, 23-year-old, you got drafted 6th overall. You expect to be there a long time. You had a great year, and you build a house, and then you get traded to the U.S. So that's tough. But yeah, I really like him. From what I've heard, some great things about him over the past couple of years. I mean, the 2015 season in the playoffs, and even last season, I heard a lot of good things about him. So for him to now be a Ranger, I'm really excited. But Clark MacArthur, man, you better give up number 16 because that's Brassard's number. He could wear number 26, but yeah, I don't know. Clark MacArthur better give up 16 because that's Brassard's number. Zibanejad is going to get number 93 because Keith Yandel left. But it does suck for me because 2 of my favorite players last year on the Rangers were Keith Yandel and Derek Brassard, and now they're both traded away. So what are you going to do? But like I said, I think it's a great trade. I do think the Rangers came out on top, although the Senators did get a great player. What do you guys think in the comments? Senators fans, Tell me anything I may need to know about Zibanejad that I don't already. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode.